short. So I've been in this industry about 27 years right now. It's still running. Thank God I have some time, about 15 years, then moved back. Started career here in India though. But the commonality is, I really have been connected more with business, though I come from technology platform. So I played the bridge between business and IT for quite some time. And the other commonality is wherever it is, it's delivery management, it's about P&L or doing an internal IT role, it comes down to dollar value end of the day. So with that, personal side, I have my beautiful wife and a daughter, 16.5, but she behaves like 30. Okay, so the key thing is, when I had these meetings with CFOs, CEOs, or CIOs, we come in with a lot of ideas, particularly like shared service, or you take anything enablement. The biggest challenge is the budget aspect of it, and what is the strategy, goal of it. So on that format, I always I go with the standard template when I talk to my executives or the business stakeholders to say so. So I divide it into 3 parts. Normally, what is it I'm driving end of the day to the business, and second is, what is the technology transformation journey. It's not just about support or operations aspect of it. Then where do I get that dollars from? So when you look at this, I've really said it's nothing new to you. I just want to reiterate that, as all of you leaders would have gone through this. But what I want to highlight, what I've learned in last 25 plus years is, business or a CFO is ready to spend money, but if you show them, what is it's adding to end of the day at a bottom line as well as their strategic goals. You could call it a POC or a due diligence or a prototype or a big bang, they would like to look at it. And being, I come from retail industry where it's very specific, it's very tough to show ROI, transformations, legacy, all this new, but still legacy is there. Still programs are there in COBOL. Jobs are running in JCL. So heavy load happens, front end, you could build a farm of servers, you could split it, but the best thing is to integrate that with the latest technology. How do I go about it? So I'll go a little bit detail on each of those. I call myself Be the Mickey because Mickey, as you know, is a character that lovable by all. So you try to infuse that and you be that Mickey for the organization in the terms of what are you going to deliver, happiness in terms of ROI, how much am I going to spend, CFO is happy, and your business is happy, your internal or external partners are happy. So I just say be the Mickey for the organization. Okay, as far as business is concerned, this is something we all are transforming into. Earlier, business had like you would have say, okay, these are the things I want to achieve this year. You would just say that I want to automate my shared service process, or I want to create bots to it, I want to integrate. There is no end-to-end ownership. Business work in silos. They work in silos. So what we as organization also, if you look at industries, we really want that value ownership. As a business, as it could integrate with different sub functions as such. If you take like payroll functions, if you want to integrate it, that's connected to shared service, because if my pay slip doesn't come out, or if I have a challenge, all these snow systems, it was all like specific to question, how do I get my pay slip? Then, so how do you integrate that? In that terms of ownership, because payroll, if you just think about finance systems, SAP systems, or ADP systems, but it's not that. How do you bring into the integration mode? So that you need a value ownership there. So that's very critical. It's very critical ownership. So all these leadership or the roles are transforming into the value owner. What is the value that I'm really bringing to the organization? In that way, you could call it value. What we do is we have value owner, and we call it also value manager, and we've also called it value architects. So that in that function, you are really delivering one value that could sit into across multiple functions as such. So what is that value delivery that I'm providing? As you know, one thing, business does not have patience anymore. It's nothing new today. It has been happening, I would say, like last 10 years. The agility aspect of it, before you could think of something, somebody else has implemented it. And employees also have become very, I would say, tech savvy or hungry. Like no more they want to send an email and just wait for 24 to 48 hours, to get a response. So where me managing some of those HR and payroll integrations with shared servers, I could really see that. It's always like employee policies, for example. If I want to know what is my holiday policy, and organization like DXC, we are in 73 countries, $17 billion company. So in that way, it becomes critical. How do I find out how is the holiday policy in Malaysia? It could be different completely from London. So when I do that, so that integration of that data, how do I bring in? And I need to do it quickly. So CHROs, they just give you a problem. They say, I need it a week to deploy. And now when you go back and say, oh no, by the way, I have to go through this SDLC cycle, I'll just sit on it, that's not going to move. So the more you are agile to your business, so the way to achieve that is you could have, any clients you have it. So when you deliver that, tell them to have an owner from the business side of it and also an owner from the IT aspect of it. That IT could be they themselves, or it could be outsourcing partner, you could do that, but there has to be a value owner for it. In that way, you could deliver that value delivery at the end of the day. Which is, you have to define it in your roadmap, in your strategy, saying that, okay, this is what I'm going to bring in. And, obviously everything ends up with budget. See, budget, I've learned, from the CIOs and CFOs, when you tell CFOs, it's not that they don't have money, it's just that how am I going to pull this money, where from? That's about whether I'm going to, shut down some projects, or do I get some investment partners, or it could be a client also, funded investment, I could get it, so that could be a different model. It's just that, what is the delivery, value delivery that happens? And I keep preaching to my team where managed delivery management is, one is, you're being paid for your contract, you're being paid for your SLAs, you're being paid for what delivery you need to do, which systems, in-house bespoke applications, or, standard support. But I say, add is, how do I bring in value to it? When you do this operational review, what I've told my team is, because they are SMEs more than the business itself. So if you look at it, if somebody sits in the system for 20 years, they keep telling to businesses, oh, this is the person I need, always they have done, know everything, that person. But the challenge I have with them is, such people, really they get stagnated. So I tell them, okay, you know the system, just give me a white paper. Just give me a white paper on what could the system be improved upon. Business may not have the budget, it's okay. But when you go and present it to the CIOs and those executives, they take it, when they draw the budget for next year, they say, okay, if I could do this, it's rationalized as a system, I'll get into that. So this is what I was trying to highlight. So to rationalize systems, it optimizes the cost. In that way, I could tell them, and so many products are there in the market. I can give you an example. Like, Workday is a very good product. All of you know, like as a huge HCM, it has a lot of integrations on that. So now, like we are about 5 to 6 years into Workday. So I keep asking myself, or the CFOs, is it the product for us for 10 years? Because there are small products that could integrate that. Maybe we keep Workday as a core HCM, but then you look at, what could be the shared service product that I could integrate, background verification checks, or operational SLA handling, then we integrate with ServiceNow, or you go to carrier management. Workday has a carrier management, but is Workday the carrier management? Maybe not. So in that way, look at the product, split the product, because there are so many products in the market that could do much better because they are core in their area. So in that way, look at how do I do that? How do I leverage all those? Okay, and as far as redundancy and organizations are, particularly the merger and acquisition organizations, inorganic growth organization like us, DXC is a predominantly inorganic organization. We have grown over, I would say if you go for a L1 visa for our candidates, we get a booklet of a companies which we have acquired, disposed. So that's how we have grown. So the biggest challenge that we have is, for the same functionality, you have 4-5 systems. Today, still we are not integrated. We have 13 time entry systems. 13 time entry systems. We are starting to bring it, this would be like 5 years back, we became a DXC. If you know, we were like CSC, Computer Science Corporation. and we merged with HPES. So both came together and make this DXC. We still have this legacy terminology sitting behind which we definitely want to go against it. So what we notice is, that is the reason some places you may not be able to do. I understand work councils, Germany, Austria, there might be some work council issue, there might be some silo time entry systems, but try to bring it, reduce that redundancy, because there's a huge cost there. When people look at it, they immediately think about redundancy means remove people. It is not. I can tell you, I mean, I've been doing time entry, workforce management, all these, I have not let anybody go because of that. It would be there. It's just that, how do you do it? Because the new system needs more support. You just cross-train them, you get it. So that is a very, very key factor when you go and talk about technology to the from your strategy growth. When you ask for the budget, that is something. Testing automation, it's a standard, but that's a key, because how do you leverage? You go and talk to your customers, performance testing, threshold testing, or UAT, SIT, you name it, all these kind of testing. So how do I? So that's other key where you go and tell them how do I reduce it. And I can tell you, testing has minimum 30 to 40% manual effort reduction, very minimal. That is, you will see some parts where people have to get cross-trained into UiPath, Selenium, and stuff like those. But you will see that it highlights in their dashboard saying we have saved so much. And I'm a huge preacher of this integrate. Why I was highlighting this about integrate is because as you integrate more, because if you keep more silo systems, you take a data file, you put it on FTP, and then you do it. Instead of that, with all these APIs, XAPIs, all this comment, integrate that so that you would have less failure points, and more importantly, the data flow is seamless. Where we see challenges, like I'll give you an example where we have workforce management. When we do that, there's an opportunity. When you create a sales opportunity, then there's a forecast for it. Then we say, okay, this is how I'm going to solution it. Then what it takes to solution that. It might be Java skill, 100 people, US, India, however we do. And other thing, if you're going to transition certain things, then it gets into a demand management. Then how do I create and how do I do a demand fulfillment? It could be internal, external, contractors. Again, it goes through its own path. So if you look at the hire to retire, the whole life cycle of it, if you make these systems integrated and tell them, this is how this data goes. So first is you have the same data points, data parameters flowing through. There's no translation, there's no data lost in translation. And of course, you reduce the failure point. So in that, what we did when we integrated this is, when we connected, so for example, onboarding, when people get an offer letter since that point, how do I keep them warm till they get onboarded? It was the job of shared service to go and find out the candidate, background verification, and keep talking to them. But there are systems like Onboarder that if you integrate that, once you have the offer letter issued, it would keep educating. And it was there in the news, one of the small organization, to just keep them warm or give them the comfort. Once you have the offer letter, they gave a laptop to them. They have not even got onboarded to the organization yet. So there's some creativity there, and how do I do that? So when you integrate those, then you're not dependent on a person. The system does it. Because technology is there. It could send you a WhatsApp message, it could send you an email, it could send you a video. Because I had applied for a job, I just submitted my application. I got a video from the CEO of that organization, just saying that, thanks for applying. I'm really happy that you're considering organization. Of course, I didn't get through that, but still, that gave me a very good feel when I looked at it. And I'm sure that's integrated, because it was like about within 5 minutes, I got that video and all those. So these are the things, you should think about it, which really brings in value. And when you go for the budgeting, when you tell them that, okay, I had this took me about 200 hours and it cost me $2 million. Now by integrating it, I'm going to make it, I'm going to reduce it 10% of it. So in that way, you would see that value coming from that. So finance, as every organization goes through, the biggest mistake people do is wearing the technology hat always, I would say. They feel, I just do this and it's going to save you $50 million or $100 million, yeah, which is good to hear. Definitely it's good to hear. And when they implement discrete systems, when they go to a region to implement it instead of looking at a global enterprise solution, sometimes that is okay. That's perfectly fine, because that is where you will buy in the CFOs. CFOs thought you will buy in is because as an organization, we are really not growing as fast as we want. Maybe that organization is not doing good in business, or there's a OI problem on it, because if you have OI about 70-20 it is good, but if it's less, it's really, or if your profit margins are like less than 45, it's again a challenge if your attrition is more. So when you look at all this, it's okay, I don't have cash rich. How much is the debt of the organization? Do I really go and stand up and ask CFO, okay, when they are already in debt or they don't have the revenue forecast, and if they are down, for this is the second quarter right now, if the first quarter itself is down by $400-500 million, now for me to go and say, okay, I would like to do this, it's just simple as such. As a leaders, we go and say, they would get the message, you don't understand. We could talk at our teams and say that, yeah, I would do this, we have to do that job. That's our job anyway. But on the left side, when you talk to your executives, you first understand what is the organization financial health. You should take an effort of your organization, look at it, if it's a private organization, talk to your executives and figure it out, because it could be a $100,000 project or it could be a $100 million project, doesn't matter. So that's very key. I've learned it hard way, because they like the ideas, but they realize, you don't understand the organization thing. It's okay to do that, and that's where I said when you do the operational reviews in accounts, you just take that, whatever white papers you have, just when you go to the annual thing, because clients are hungry too. I mean, earlier it was they understand, now they have more options, and it's not, they no more want to say, okay, I want to stay with Accentures or IBMs. They are ready to go to 5-6 partners. They are ready to segregate their functions, because they want to see how much value am I getting back, how much the journey of outsourcing partner along with them is aligned. So that's when, because any business, if we ourselves do, we are not going to do business without growing. So if you go and sit with your customer and say, okay, I understand your health and this is our health or financial health, so let's figure out how do we want to do it. Do you propose saying that, okay, you have suggested 5 projects, but some of them may not be good for your financial health, so let's not do this, let's postpone for next year. So do that. And annual budget, it keeps, obviously keeps changing based on your revenue, how you are doing and how much you really want to invest in next year. So the factors, typical standard factors you may want to take is, CapEx and OpEx, how much you want to spend it in your budget next year. But when you do that, one caveat would be is what you should realize, when particularly for inorganic growth organization, IBM is pretty good on that. They have something called integration tower. There's a budget allocated for that. CapEx, OpEx as organization is fine, but when you do these integrations, people where they get lost is, you buy in this company, then you integrated the key systems, your front layer is integrated, but your back end is not. So then you lose, your money is being spent for redundancy. Instead, you just tell them, when you do that, have that integration budget separately. When you do, because typically they don't do that. So that's something you should think about it. Of course, the resource attritions, all those you have to plan for it. So that's one. Forecast expense, what I would say is, there are something called forecast. You say, okay, as an organization, this is what I need. This is what I need, $100 million. But there you should also think about how much to have an ideal system or ideal model, how much money I need. That's different from forecast. You can call it a zero-based budget. You start from the scratch. You give a forecast like October, November, December, you give a forecast. But then when you start looking at April, May, look at the forecast if you have given it for 15 million, and then now you said, okay, now I know what I can do. So start from the scratch, start from the ground. It's a zero-based budget. So compare with that, forecasting. So do it on a monthly basis. Monthly basis, how much did I have it for this quarter forecasted? How much is this and how much have I spent? First 2 months it will give you a trend, April, May. Then you in June when you are, then you kind of start from zero-based and you keep tracking it. That would give you, you can add, you can go more and more. You need not stay with the forecast, but at least it will tell you how close or far away from here. ROI, I've explained enough. So end of the day, we want to see, for a dollar that I'm spending, am I getting 55 cents, or if I'm getting 75 cents, or am I getting 25 cents? Because that is the key thing the CFOs or CIOs are going to buy into that. Investment as example, as I said, integration where you had. So integration towers you have, am I right? So there is investment is not just about application, investment into people. We miss that. We miss that. If it's a shared service people, if they can be, Accenture does a little bit good on it. They move people from the shared service into the main line, but not many organizations do that. If you are an expert in shared service, that's your tower. If you are in Java development, that's your tower. The cross-carrier map growth path, that's critical. So maybe somebody is good in project management, they are not good in Java, but they are doing Java. You take them, put it in PM. So that investment is very critical. So when you define all this finance and you want to be the Mickey, make sure that that investment is highlighted, why you need that. So it's not always about system, because system we know, we do in out, but the people part of it, upskilling, cross-skilling, that's a critical, So with that said, I would say I would leave it, be the Mickey. So that's what your customer wants, your business wants, your CIO wants, and keep everybody happy.